Welcome everybody to this online conference. The topic of my paper is the effect of using communicative language teaching on developing student teachers' oral proficiency in English at Al-Baydha University. And this is Associate Professor محمد الأنسي from Faculty of Education Al-Baydha University. The importance of the study springs from these facts: the immense need for fluent English teachers. Here we are referring to what we say, that the teachers who are teaching English at schools lack fluency in speaking English, and it is clear that they are using a lot of Arabic in teaching English. This in turn affects their students' oral proficiency because the students adapt the habits of their teachers, and as a result they lack this fluency in their speech in real life situations. Another thing is that this study is unlike the other teachers do in using communicative language teaching, as most of the teachers and student teachers tend to use traditional method of teaching, which is grammar translation method. Finally, we can find that, and it is observed that teachers are ignorant of the activities of teaching and assessing oral speaking skills. That means that when the teachers are assessing speaking, they tend to assess it through the modality of writing instead of assigning students or giving students the assessment which rely on or depends on speaking exercises or drills or some exercises like that. The objectives of this study are to examine the effectiveness of using communicative language teaching on developing Yemeni student teachers' oral proficiency in English, and to design a course that helps developing oral proficiency in English. That means a new method of teaching is going to be adapted, and there is a new course designed which depends on communicative language teaching and gives the students many activities, change their attention and their practices to a new way of learning, which is student-centered rather than teacher-centered. This study aims at answering this question: can the use of communicative language teaching approach, CLT, help to develop Yemeni student teachers' proficiency in speaking English? It is hypothesized that the inadequate proficiency of Yemeni student teachers in speaking English is due to inefficient methods of teaching in the first place. Then, the inadequate proficiency of Yemeni student teachers in speaking English is due to unsuitable textbooks used in teaching spoken English. And this is hypothesized because of what is observed in schools and even in faculties of education which qualify student teachers to be teachers of English. Regarding literature review, it covers what is communicative language teaching, that's the definition, and what are the characteristics of communicative language teaching. It also looks at history of communicative language teaching, means development from the beginning and use and up to now. It looks also at the roles of the teachers and students. It looks at the activities used in developing speaking in communicative language teaching, which are ignored by the teachers, And finally, it looks at an important area, that's assessing oral proficiency, as most of the teachers are assessing oral proficiency through the modality of writing. This is an empirical study in which two groups, experimental and control group, were assigned, and then the experimental group was taught using the new approach, which is communicative language teaching, and the control group was taught in an ordinary way using traditional methods of teaching. The students who are in the experimental group were exposed to activities which helped them to be able to use their English more than to learn about English. And the control group was taught or using the traditional methods as they are used to be previously. The population of the study consists of second level students at English departments in two colleges, College of Education and Sciences in Rada and Faculty or College of Education at Al-Baydha University. The participants were 30 student teachers selected randomly from each college and assigned to control and experimental groups. The instruments used in this study began with a pilot study. Then we come to the intervention, which is teaching the experimental group using communicative language teaching through designing a course based on this approach, concentrating on what we call language functions, which enable the students to use English in real life situations, which is one of the most important characteristics. The findings of this study: there were no significant differences between the two groups in the pre-test scores. There were significant differences between the two groups in the post-test scores in favor of the experimental group. There were significant differences between the pre-test and post-test scores of the experimental group. And it is found that the use of communicative language teaching has been successful. Thank you very much for giving me a chance to participate in this conference, and welcome everyone to our university and to our conference.